Hey there, high tide traders and investors. It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth. Today is Tuesday. It's July 19th. Hope you're well today, as well as you can be. There was some news that came out with regards to high tide, ticker symbol HITI. We're going to discuss that, but essentially it was dilution news, and the stock is down about 20% pre-market and could drop even further. I'll give my price targets and what to expect in the days and weeks ahead. We'll look at the chart and do some technical analysis. Before we get to it, though, make sure to smash like, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe and tick the bell. You'll be notified on any future videos. So you can see here, high tide announces 10 million bought deal public offering. Essentially, the underwriters, which is Echelon Wealth Partners, agreed to purchase 4.3 million units at approximately $2.32 Canadian. We actually dropped below that price pre-market, and that isn't uncommon for us to actually hit the price, the deal price, and then drop even further, right? And offer to the Canadian public under a prospectus supplement to the base shelf prospectus of the company dated April 22nd. For total gross proceeds of approximately $10 million. Each unit will consist of one common share of the company and one common share purchase warrant. So that's pretty brutal. Each warrant shall be exercisable to acquire one common share of the company for a period of 60 months from closing of the offering at an exercise price of $2.73 Canadian per warrant. On April 18, 2022, we announced that we had executed a letter of intent from the Connect First Credit Union for non-dilutive credit facilities. Due diligence on this financing remains ongoing. However, this process is taking much longer than previously expected. Accordingly, we are being proactive with the supplemental 10 million equity capital injection. Despite the recent deteriorating and uncertain macro environment, our operations remain very strong, and today's news will ensure that we can continue our trajectory and take advantage of the attractive opportunities that present themselves in the market, said the CEO, Raj. All right. Moving on, we'll go through this a little quicker here. There's also, the company has granted the underwriters the option of over-allotment option to purchase up to additional 646,000 units at the issue price per unit, exercisable at any time for a period of 30 days after including the closing date, which would result in additional proceeds of 1.5 million Canadian approximately. The over-allotment option is exercisable to acquire units, common shares, and or warrants, or any combination thereof at the discretion of the underwriters. The net proceeds of the offering will be used for constructing and opening new retail MJ store locations, the repayment of debt, and the general corporate and working capital purposes. So it just goes on to say the close on or about July 22nd. The company will use its best efforts to obtain the necessary approvals to list the common shares and common shares issuable upon exercise of the warrants on the TSXV. And that's pretty much all we need to go over from that article. But essentially, I did do a video. I said this is back on July 2nd. So quite a while ago, I did give a heads up that we could see a weekly bear flag on high tide. I gave my price target expectations, and that was actually $1 USD. You can see here pre-market, we're sitting at 168. I'll just do a quick refresh. 169. So we're essentially down 19.5%, and we could drop as low as $1. Taking a look at the weekly bear flag, I'll bring that up in a second, but it wasn't just high tide. We had weekly bear flags everywhere. I did this video on June 30th saying more downside coming for MJ stocks, weekly bear flags everywhere. So it's one thing when high tide has a weekly bear flag, but when all of MJ has it, and there's weekly bear flags not just in Canadian MJ, but also in American MJ stocks, and not just licensed producers or MSOs. There was retailers that had it as well. That increases the odds that we're going to see that for high tide. But you can see here on the Canadian chart, from the current levels down to the deal price there at 232, that was about a 15% drop. So we actually exceeded that pre-market, and we'll see how we open, but we could see more downside in my opinion. Taking a look at the NASDAQ chart here, you can see here that I drew this out quite a while ago, and I gave a multiple weeks heads up that we could see a weekly bear flag. A weekly bear flag, you just take the high to the low, you take your fib tool, you draw it out, and then anything below the 0.32 Fibonacci retracement level there at 302 is a potential weekly bear flag. We hadn't confirmed it up until this point, but now we are breaking below that support. So once we lost 173, that confirmed the weekly bear flag, and now we're taking the measured move from the high to the low, this flagpole. Here's the flag. You take the pole from the previous drop down, and then you extrapolate that out to the 0.382 fib, and that gives you a measured move of about $1 USD. And I know a lot of people are probably frustrated with this news because high tide has such good fundamentals and financials. But again, as we know, I did a video on that as well. Fundamentals do not matter in a bear market, and the macro conditions, like they mentioned in that press release, are absolutely atrocious right now in MJ, and it doesn't look like it's going to get better anytime soon. We know that usually the summertime is a bit of a drop off in activity, so we usually see a bit of a summer lull. And we could see another leg down in the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is still yet to confirm even a daily uptrend, and in a weekly and monthly downtrend, the first time since 2008 financial crisis. It could absolutely get worse from here, and we could see another leg down. If a lot of other MJ names confirm their weekly bear flags, that's just going to add even more selling pressure. And this is something that I've been saying for a while. If you're hopping around from stock to stock and you're looking at fundamentals, and that's what you're basing your trades off of, you have to be aware that all MJ moves together. It doesn't matter about what the fundamentals, like there can be outliers. Some stocks can, some MJ stocks can run, opposite to the rest of the sector, but it just doesn't happen very often. And what have I been saying about MJ? On average, MJ is down between 70, 80 to 90%. Some names, the stronger names, were down about 70% from February 2021 highs, which was the peak of the bull market in 2021. And that was after the Democrats took control of the Senate. But look at Tilray. It's down about 95% from that same February 2021 highs. Even, some American MJ like Trulieve down as well, about 80%. And when high tide was only down 70%, that's why I said be careful here, because we had this weekly bear flag and we were only down about 85%. What do we know about Canadian MJ? A lot of MJ in Canada is down 90% plus. So that increases the odds that high tide could drop as much as 90%, if not more, right? And here we are. This morning, we're down to about 87, 88% from February 2021 highs. And if we do drop to $1 USD, that would bring us down about 92%. Again, Tilray down about 95%. So one thing I learned very early in my investing and trading career is never say never in the financial world. And I got a ton of people push back saying that high tide definitely wasn't going to confirm a weekly bear flag and that there's no way it gets to $1 USD. Well, we're sitting at 1.6, so $1.60 USD here pre-market. And again, if we see more weekly bear flags across the sector, if we see another leg down in the S&P 500, that could absolutely spell more downside for high tide. I wish I had better news, but as the saying goes, show me the chart and I'll tell you the news. There's a reason why I had that target and why I was issuing warning signs weeks ago. But if you didn't sell, you didn't lose anything yet. I do think high tide is going to be a great long-term pick. For the long term, I have been dollar cost averaging into it. I haven't added any in a long time, but I will look to potentially add this morning here and as we get closer to that weekly bear flag target. All right, going to end it there. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on this news. Always love hearing from you. We'll continue the conversation in the comments below. Do you think we're going to hit that bear flag target just like Canopy Growth did and target that $1 USD? Do you think I'm crazy? I know a lot of people thought I was crazy before, but maybe a little bit less crazy in the eyes of the beholder today. All right, going to end it there. Thanks again for joining us on The Pursuit of Wealth. It's Rod with Powell Group, and we'll see you in the next video.